This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
Yes, we are back. Salam and welcome to the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri. I am your host, covering everything sport, international, local. Hope you're having an incredible day wherever you're tuned in. Got a couple of really cool topics for you. And thank you, everyone, for locking in on 95 FM, pulse95radio.com, our app, Sharjah Broadcasting Authority, or even if you're chilling, watching us live on YouTube. Thanks to Super Mario and Gabby, who are the magicians behind the screens. We are here and we've got a wicked show for you. Let me tell you what's on the show today. Okay, so how do you focus solely on a game without bringing personal issues to the field or court? That's something that came to me as a question from Anita on the health and fitness segment, but also on the sports segment. The other thing is, we often hear the sport being called a form of escapism or something to get your mind off things because you don't have your phone, you don't have emails, you don't have work to kind of get in the way. But what is your form of escapism? Is it a sport? Is it reading? Is it coloring? Is it writing? Is it going for a walk? Is it watching something? Is it spending time with the kids? I want to hear from you. Text me on 4215 Itasalat Urdu or slide into my DMs at Omar Al-Duri. And speaking about DMs on Instagram, got to give a special shout out to everyone who's tuned in. You've got Terry, Dino, Natalie, Super Mario, Sid, congratulations on the wedding, Kareen, Wissam as well, who's here with us, and everyone else. Florin all the way from the US, Debo from the US, Adil from the US, Saif from London, and Halat from Saudi. Thank you very much for locking in with me. I'm going to try and make this hour incredible for you. And also, what better way than to start with Burna Boy himself featuring Stormzy, Real Life, coming up after this.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international, local. Thank you very much for tuning in. And I gotta give a special mention to all those who are locked in now on the Halftime Show, especially on Instagram. We've got some really good points in. Now, I asked the question of the day. The question of the day is, what is your form of escapism? And this conversation went from using sport as a form of escapism to using the mind to get away from a lot of things. Dino from the UK sent in a great comment saying, when was the last time you guys switched off your phone for an hour? So that's the first thing, because often we're associated with what's the messages or the news that comes through the phone. So that was one thing. Technology has taken over, everything. And so I'm sure Future Talk with Omnia and Hani it'll be great to have them here on the show now, actually, because that's something I mentioned. Anita asked me a question, one of our regular listeners. She asked me, how do you focus solely on a game without bringing personal issues to the field or court and let it influence your attitude and mindset? So my question to you guys was, what is your form of escapism? We've had so many interesting things here from everyone who's been on the live with me. Murad said he likes to go out in the dunes. You've got Natalie, who said she likes to listen to some music, rock music, she said, and I like that. Fahad said kickboxing. Natalie said it depends on the situation. I either go for kickboxing for a short round trip. So you see, a lot of the comments I'm getting here is more affiliated with, de-stress. So you got boxing, mixed martial arts, all these kind of things, and that is one form of it. But the other thing is also using stress to be able to get through the day. So in this case, you've got, so many things that you go through during the day. Then you avoid your phone or you avoid your computer for, let's say, an hour on average. If we're training about an hour and a half max. So you've got that. Then you return back to it. So your mindset is almost reset to do something that you enjoy, that you love, and then you go back into it. Now, for me, I'm not sure how you guys are when it comes down to these things, but for me, detachment is key, because that's something that is not very easy to say. Sometimes you might switch off the TV, but your mind is still running. So it's almost like you're still watching the TV, but replaying in your mind. So in terms of mindset, have you ever listened to yourself breathing and tried to just completely zone out? It's no coincidence that a lot of breath work and a lot of work that we do in terms of guided meditation has helped performance rise by so much. It's also a challenge to be able to block things out. And this is where, Anita's question was so good, because you're having a stressful day at work, you head down to, let's say, the gym or to a sport that you play, football, basketball, cricket, you name it. Once you get there, you're there to have a good time. You're there to be with your friends. Or it's a social group, or if it's a league, if it's more competitive, you can't afford to kind of bring that energy into, you know, the environment you're about to step in. So it's like you're resetting your environment through the sport. And that's where a lot of the times when we reset our mind, we reset our thoughts, these are things that all of a sudden put us in a better mood, because we're not thinking about finances or family or friends or a disagreement or something that might disrupt or cause an imbalance in our mindset. So I was throwing a few things out there. I was saying, is reading one of them? Is music one of them? Natalie mentioned, you know, rock music. Is Quran one of them? That's another thing. The therapy that you can listen to that, you know. And Malu actually just messaged me now saying Quran resets my mind, bro, which is fantastic. Is it painting or coloring? You guys might think this is way off, but I guarantee you some of the athletes I've worked with or even spoken to in terms of coaches, they actually the coaches give their athletes things to color, paint, bring out the inner child in you, have something that distracts you, but in a very positive way, adding color. It could even be cooking, like Saif mentioned earlier. He said that's something that he enjoys doing because, you know, it's something that makes him happy. And speaking of that, he just mentioned reading the Reset book, which is, again, fantastic. I appreciate that, Saif. But these are all the things that we choose to do to be able to get the best out of not just the people around us, but ourselves. It starts with self-love, self-worth, self-validation. Before you can kind of get anywhere with anyone else, you got to be comfortable in your own skin. And sometimes we do get stressed out. We do feel a bit of anxiety. But this is where being able to work on yourself before giving the advice to others is something that comes in a little bit handy. So I like where the direction is going. And by the way, I love the comments that are coming in. Very, very cool. What is your form of escapism? Keep those comments coming in. That's the question of the day. I'm going to take a break, play you some Rudimental and James Arthur, and we'll be right back after this.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Adori. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international, local. Oh, man. Okay, right, cool. So one thing that comes to mind a lot is, having been in the industry for probably over 15 years now, are we overcomplicating the industry to keep up with what's happening in health and fitness? And I say that wholeheartedly, because a lot of the times the fundamentals and the basics are kind of overseen. Prevention is not cool. Cure is something that we face. So when we look at all that hand in hand, I ask that question, is it not cool to be simple? And this is why, because again, in the generation that we're in, we're looking at the latest technology, the latest equipment, the bright lights. There's sometimes that kind of overshadows science and, you know, the human anatomy and how things work. And even when I say that, it's almost like the conversation's kind of dipped as well. And I'm trying to be as neutral as possible in this. But what I want to hear from you guys is do you feel that it's not cool to be simple and we oversee, you know, the things in health and fitness because of how a person is? We've spoken about aesthetics versus performance on the show. We've spoken about all these different factors, but it's something that as a coach, I often see, and again, you got to respect them as well. You know, it's not just that when you see coaches nowadays that they're fantastic athletes, like physically they look incredible. It's not just about that. It's the conversation, the delivery, the way that you translate the education that you have learned, inherited and invested in to be able to help someone else. And I think that sometimes gets lost in translation in terms of message. And this is where this segment comes in, because we're talking about health and fitness is a very, very saturated industry, but it's also a very important industry. And it's something that sometimes we can overlook because we might see something that looks kind of cool. And this is where this segment comes in, because it's not cool to be simple. It's not cool to do prevention exercises. We often do prevention exercises after we've got injured or we're facing cure. Whilst if you said to someone, no, there's this latest piece of equipment, you need to jump on there, do it, get on it, it's awesome, you're probably going to want to do it. Naturally, we all want to do it. We're going to jump on this new treadmill or this new ski erg or whatever it is, and use this piece of equipment and think, oh, okay, wow, I've done it. But if you said to someone, let's look at the way you plant your feet on the ground, let's look at the gait analysis, let's look at the way you place your foot down, there's never that kind of feeling that, yeah, I want to do that. Do you see what I'm trying to say here? So that's where I'm saying, have we skipped the fundamentals and the simple things to look at the things that the industry's kind of rushing us into? The equipment, the lights, all these kind of things. There's so many factors here that we kind of overlook. And I say this because for those that didn't catch my interview with Brian Ortega, UFC world superstar, I think he's number one contender now, if not number two, in his division. When I asked him after he lost to Max Holloway, what's changed? He said everything. Everything's changed. And I said, well, what did you do? He goes, I'm doing the boring things now. I'm doing the things repetitive amount of times to be able to get the best out of it. I'm looking at it from a different mindset. I'm looking at a different performance set. I'm trying to block out anything that would have influenced me going a certain direction and just focusing on the fundamentals. And that's why I would say that we're kind of skipping the simple stuff. We're skipping the preventative stuff. We're skipping the things that maybe doesn't aesthetically look good to be able to look good, if that kind of makes sense. And this is where even Safe is saying no one ever warms down at football. Terry's saying it's not cool to be injured though. So I would say simple is cool. Absolutely. And this is where, even speaking from experience, you know, sometimes you go by the book, you do all sorts of things and you get injured, and then it becomes a huge mental game to be able to get back. You can't play with your friends, you can't get involved, you know, with your gym mates or whatever it is that you socially get yourself involved with. And it plays such a huge toll on your mind. And then you start to lose confidence, which then affects performance. So you see how that domino system that we speak about on reset is so important, because it falls into the lap of something else. And that's where I'm kind of like very, very interested to see, has health and fitness in 2020 skipped simple fundamentals to be able to gain results? That's my question for you today. And you know what? I tried to get it in as simple as possible. When I was thinking about it a couple of days ago, I was trying to say it so it wouldn't sound quite boring. I wanted to say it in a way where you guys could nod your head and say, yeah, you know, fundamentals are key, or simple is better, or simple is cool. And that's what using this platform is important for, because we'll go into the gym and want to do an exercise that maybe is 3 or 4 levels before the starting point. And this is where I always say, whether it's my own students, athletes, or even someone that's working with me or coaching me, you know, it's really important to be able to absorb information, and it's even more important to be able to deliver it. And that's what I think the health and fitness industry now is looking at. So yeah, so there's something for you to ponder on. I want to play some Maluma now. You know, Almas loves Maluma, Maria loves Maluma. So I'm going to play some now, so enjoy this. Shout out to everyone who's tuned in, and I'll be right back after this.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Welcome back to the Halftime Show. Just reading all these comments. As we know, some of our favorite footballers from the AWFL will be playing tonight. La Liga will be facing Leone FC. We've had Leone FC here in the Sharjah studios, and we've had Almas from La Liga as well. So that's going to be a good game. So let's see who wins. Maybe we'll talk about it the other day on Saturday. Let's see about that. Omar, you are fired too. Let's get ready to rumble. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Raj. I appreciate you. And by the way, thank you so much for all the comments coming in today. It's been really, really good. The question of the day was, how do you focus solely on a game without bringing personal issues to the field or court and let it influence your attitude and mindset? And what is your form of escapism when it comes down to performance, feeling better, lifestyle? That was the question as well, which we had some very, very cool statements coming in. We also spoke about Kell Brook facing Terence Crawford this Saturday in the boxing world, and whether there is such a thing as the underdog story nowadays. I think it's almost like we expect a result to come out of it, and if it doesn't, it's a bit of a shock. That's going to be happening. And are we overcomplicating the health and fitness industry? Is it not cool to be simple anymore? And are we skipping prevention and the fundamentals to go for the more hype stuff, so to speak? So that was what I was talking about today. So I hope you did enjoy the show, who are listening in. And what's coming up this week? So we had in the last 2 shows, which were a very, very cool contrast. We had Avram Grant, the World Cup manager for Ghana, and the ex-Chelsea and Portsmouth and West Ham manager, come on the show the other day. Very, very insightful. Sometimes it's some people may overlook Avram in terms of the way he appears to be in the media, but I'll tell you one thing, his knowledge, being a director of football, being a coach and being a manager, was really insightful. So if you missed that show, head over to YouTube and check out the Pulse 95 radio channel and go and check out the show with Avram Grant. Very, very cool to see his idea. And I even asked him, I said, Manchester United, people are saying they need a director of football. What's up with that? And he gave me his insight. And when you think of the fact he took over from Jose Mourinho at a time where Chelsea, were on a quite a low, getting them to the Champions League final and being one slip away. And I know John Terry was on the show last year, but being one slip away against Manchester United in the final and losing the Champions League final, would Avram Grant's career been different had they won the Champions League? That's another thing. And he's been very successful in what he does. So make sure you head down and check out the show. Very, very cool show, seeing him down there. He speaks a lot about mindset. And some people don't know that Avram's actually half Iraqi as well. And he's worked in Africa, he's worked in Europe, he's worked in the Middle East. He's been around a lot of different people. So he studied psychology. To be honest, one of my favorite shows, and I've had some amazing guests on the show. One of my favorite shows to date. Shout out to Saif as well for making that happen, because Avram, he came on and he didn't know what we were going to talk about. He was a good sport about it, and he spoke with so much knowledge, so much wisdom, and also just let me know about his brief conversation with Arsene Wenger. So there's a bit on that. Before that, we had the UAE national 12-year-old ice skater, Thea Abu Diwan, who was on, and she was so cute, man. She was lovely. She came on in the first segment. Obviously, we've only met once before, so she came on the first segment. She was kind of quiet. Then all of a sudden, she's coming, she's chilling with me. She's looking at all the buttons. She was so confident. She spoke so well. My favorite part of that show was when she said that the mental game was more important than the physical game. When she said that, I kind of smiled ear to ear because I wasn't that smart when I was her age. So that was very cool. So those were a couple of things that, we wanted to address in terms of the different types of guests, we've been blessed to have on the show here on the Halftime Show, which is great. And I put a post up as well on my Instagram asking you guys, who would you like to see more of on the show? Are there people that you would like to hear about their journey, their story? Are they inspiring? Tell me about that. Let me know. Leave a comment in the box, and we'd love to hear from you. You never know, we might even get them on the show. And that is full time on the Halftime Show. Thank you everyone who has tuned in and kept me company for the whole hour. I will be back on Saturday 3 to 4. Don't forget that Big Hass has also got a show, The Saturday Vibe, at 6 p.m. also on Saturday. So make sure you connect with that and tune into that as well. Love to see you guys. Thank you so much for everyone who tuned in. I will see you on Saturday. Have a blessed day. I love you guys. Peace.
If you liked this episode of The Halftime Show, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.